after Q3 earnings? Where do you see the Q4 earnings to go?
I think people are quite expectant that they will see stabilization in earnings. So after Q3, there were a lot of doubts as to what will happen in Q4. So a number of industries have shown good trends, and so they would be hoping that economy has stabilized, and they can expect better results in Q1.
And what about the Nifty, sir? Like Nifty has reached an 11-month high as well. So where do you see the index going forward from here?
It's the job of indices to make new highs and from retreat from whatever levels. So I think the markets are pretty wise. We have seen a lot of churn in the market, both in terms of stocks and in terms of investors. So I think the market is behaving in a very healthy manner. And Indian markets are not about the short term. Indian markets are clearly for the long term. And you're seeing more and more long term money coming to the market.
And so do you see the appetite for IPOs to continue from here on?
I think with the market, with an IPO like DMart, I think you just expand the market, you bring new money to the market. And I think in its follow-up, good IPOs, if they keep coming to the market, I think there is appetite.
And what about the foreign flows, sir? Like in the last 6-8 months, they have picked up. So do you see the trend to continue?
I think the foreign flows are clearly part of international money and international money management, which means they respond to a lot of things. What you saw in November was probably as much, I think, much more a response to what was happening to US dollar, change in presidential, the presidential election in US and so on, rather than India. So it was partly India, but a lot more global. And I think that will continue. It depends upon what the global events are. For example, you have European elections coming up. You've seen some of the unexpected things happen in the US. In between the last couple of days, you had a scare about whether OPEC will continue with its production cuts and so on. So the world is pregnant with a lot of developments. So I think foreign flows, by and large, are headed for India, subject to a short-term response to what happens on the global arena.
And finally, sir, like any sectors that one should look at right now and one should avoid?
Well, I don't talk about sectors, so simple principle of investment is look what is low, and then study hard and pick up. So, but that's for long-term investors. I have nothing to say to short-term investors.
And for long-term investors, sir?
So I think he just said that you have to look at out-of-favor sectors, look for good companies, and wait for them. You've seen metals come back, and so on. So I think it happens all the time. India is a long-term story. You generally won't go wrong.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for speaking to BloombergQuint.
Thank you.